Welcome back. Well, some pressure on Nifty right now. It's down 41 points. Of course, not a big cut, but it has come off from those highs. And Nifty Bank is the one which is down around 300 points. As we've been mentioning, it's courtesy HDFC Bank. A lot of movers in the markets. Balrampur Chini, for instance, we spoke to the management today. The company reported numbers during market hours yesterday. It was a good set, and today it's seeing gains of around 5% as we speak. Exide is the other one, which is at the day's high right now. So a lot of these names from the broader markets, which you should keep on your radar. We have IDFC First Bank, which is high right now, Bank of Baroda. So some of these banks doing well. So majority of this pressure is coming in from HDFC Bank as we speak. But as promised, let's get in the conversation with Kaveri Seed. It is in focus. The company reported a slight miss in its Q1 numbers. Revenue growth came in at 9% on a YY basis, but EBITDA margins contracted from 37.7% to 36.8%. The export business sales increased by over 400% in the year. C Mithun Chand, the executive director of the company, is joining us now. Mithun, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, it's been a decent revenue growth, but margins have come in under pressure despite that growth. What has led to this, and what is the guidance for FY25 that you have in terms of revenue growth and margins?
Morning. This year was really very tough year, both in terms of the production, in terms of the sale, and in terms of the cropping pattern. If you see the mix of the entire sale, we were down in cotton by more than 25%. In spite, we are down in cotton by more than 25%. We were able to pull out that 5% revenue growth this year, as we have done exceedingly well in both the crops like maize and rice. In maize, we have grown by more than 70% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and in rice, close to 25% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. If you see as a standalone basis, our margins have marginally improved, including the EBITDA margins have marginally improved. But when you see as a consolidated basis, the margins looks like slightly down by 2 to 3% because the majority of the subsidiaries we sell cotton. This year, cotton, we had a very tough time in terms of the production. The production cost was up by more than 100 rupees a packet, and we were not able to realize much money from the market. So that's the reason you see a slight dip in the consolidated sale. But if you see as an overall picture, we have done exceedingly well when compared to the industry. All the cropping, if you see the cotton across India, it was down by more than 10%, and in the states where we were pretty strong, it was down by more than 20%. So that's a slight impact what we have done.
Just a follow-up on that, Q1 is usually your strongest year, right? And you're talking about some pressures that you've seen in Q1 itself. What does it do for the rest of the financial year? What are you targeting in terms of revenue growth, volume growth maybe in maize and cotton, and margins that you will work with?
Basically, majority of the quarters sale comes in the first quarter. First quarter is like more than 80% of the revenue, 70 to 80% of the revenue, and more than 90% comes in the first quarter. 90% of the profit comes in the first quarter. So 2, 3, 4 are lean quarters, but we are pretty confident that we'll do better than the last year. And second half, all the 3 quarters, basically the majority of the crop will be maize and rice. So we have better margins in that. So we think that we'll be able to maintain margins, and we can slightly show better growth than last year. As we see a good cropping pattern for maize, as we have seen witnessed good rainfall across India, and see a very good scope for maize crop in the coming quarters.
Okay, so your guidance is that margins should stay where they are, if not at least try and improve, right? That's the outlook for the remaining part of the year. What about your R&D cost? Because for the last couple of years, you've put in considerable effort to move away from cotton seed into maize, rice, and that's bearing fruit now. So what is the percentage of your R&D cost as a percentage of your overall sales? How has it moved? And going forward, how much do you anticipate spending on R&D?
As of now, if you take last year, the recurring expenditure was like 5 to 6%, and if you add capital expenditure, it was like 7 to 8% on the overall revenue. And I think if you see the first quarter itself, the R&D expense and the employee costs have basically moved up by more than 10%. So this year also we will be spending close to 6 to 7% of our total revenue on R&D. And as you rightly said, that we are already witnessing that, and it's a long time to get. It takes long time to get new products and hybrids. And whatever growth we have seen this quarter and in the previous quarters, it's all from the new products which are coming in. If you take 7, 8 years back, the majority of the portfolio, like 80% of our contribution was from cotton. Right now, in the first quarter, it is already down by, it came down to 33% from 45% what it was last year. And if you see the overall year, it should be close to like 20-22%. So even in these tough conditions, as we have a diversified portfolio wherein we deal with many crops, that's giving advantage for us. And going forward, we are working on mustard and bajra in the coming years, including vegetables. These all crops should do well in the coming years. And maize and rice, we see a very good acreages coming going forward as the demand is going up. So we see good prospects, and we have got a very good pipeline hybrids down the line, which gives us confidence to have both volume and revenue growth. And if you see this year, as it was a very tough year, the production cost has gone up significantly when compared to previous year. And being a brand and by the performance of our hybrid, we were able to pass it on to the farmer. That's the reason we were able to maintain the margins. And I think we are the only company who has basically were able to maintain the margin this year.
All right. You know, you are seeing good momentum in exports as well. Give us a sense of how much does it contribute to overall revenues right now? And that strong growth, will you be able to sustain it? Are you seeing higher freight costs? Is that a worry for exporters like yourself?
Last year, we have done 5 to 6%, like 60 crores of revenue from export. But if you see in the last 5, 7 years, 10 years, we are continuously working on it. We are adding new countries to it this year also. We are adding new countries. We are very bullish on Southeast Asian countries this year, especially like Philippines, Indonesia, and Thailand, where we see a good initial trials of paddy. We have got very good results in paddy. So we are exporting to those countries, and even we are exporting maize to maize and sunflower to African countries. So in the coming years, we are even bullish on export market. It should definitely touch 10% of the revenue in the next coming 3 to 4 years.
When will it touch 10% exports? In how many years?
The next 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years is when exports as a percentage of revenues will be 10%. I know this is a tough one, Mithun, but is it possible to estimate what could be the volume degrowth maybe in cotton seeds? What is the anticipation of volume growth in maize and rice for the full year? Your own internal assessment?
Cotton, majority of the season is already done. We are down by close to 25% in terms of the volumes. Whereas in maize, for the entire year, we'll be growing like 45 to 50% what we have grown this year, first year. And rice also in the same manner.
Okay. All right, Mithun. Yes, please go ahead. What were you saying?
First quarter gives a major indication of the entire sale, how it's going to be. And this contributes 80% of the total sale. And next in the coming quarters, maize is the main crop where we do the majority of the sale, and we see a very good demand for maize, and we will definitely grow than last year. So it should be like the growth than 50% in terms of the volumes in maize and 20% plus in terms of the rice.
All right, we get that. Thank you so much, Mithun, for joining us today and giving us all those details. That's the word coming in from Kaveri Seeds. We'll slip into a break now. When we return, we'll discuss market technicals with Mitesh Thakkar and also discuss the top trading bets.